it's going to be very difficult to use past performance as an indicator of future performance when the dynamics of who's involved in the hobby and why they're coming in and what their purposes are and how well capitalized they are, that dynamic is constantly changing.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to episode number 10 of your favorite basketball card podcast on the entire internet, Hobby Update. I'm Max at putnamcards on Instagram. My partner here is Shai at shaiwayvlogs. And we have two very special guests today. I'll let the hype man, Shai, introduce him. So, Shai, here you go.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining our podcast. We have a very special situation, very special episode for you guys. These two gentlemen here, right here, we like to call them the CardLadder Bros. They are one of the most influential peoples in the hobby, the deepest collectors with the most knowledge, and they have achieved getting their Grails. Just a quick background. First guest, we have Chris from House of Jordans. I'm sorry, I blanked out for a second. We have Chris from House of Jordans. Just to give you a background, this guy has the red PMG. There is the parallel that's green, and that's made our top 10 most biggest cards, influential cards of all time. He also started this whole podcast. He paved the way for us. We're talking House of Jordans. Back in the day, he used to do a podcast just talking about Jordan cards, doing a PWCC review of all the inserts and all that. That's where I got into the hobby. So, like, I see him as, like, me getting back into the hobby. So, we're thrilled to have you. And then we have Bezos, Jeff Bezos' former employee, by the way, a coder that's so smart that he literally left working for Jeff Bezos and now started his own company, CardLadder, which, full disclosure, shout out to P. Ryan with this whole full disclosure bullshit. I am a subscriber member since day one, and you know me with proof. I have the bills and the records to pay that I am a subscriber. So we have two big-time hobbyweights. That's more than enough of an introduction. So, Max, you can take it away.
Yeah, so we start off every episode with a segment we call Card of the Day. So share one PC card that you find interesting, you want to share. You can pump up your own card, pump your bags. You know, you do you. But we'll let Josh start off, I guess.
Sure. All right. Well, so this is a card that I was after for probably 3 years publicly. I posted about it that I was looking for it forever, and I was finally able to acquire it recently this year. So this is the 2003 finest LeBron Gold Refractor PSA 9, and these are numbered to 25. So lucky 13 to 25. I actually met a guy at the 2019 National, and he came and sat next to me. I had no idea who he was, and he was like, "Hey man, I want to show you some stuff." I'm like, "All right, yeah, sit down." Goes through his cards. He's just got massive. He had a black label LeBron Ultimate Rookie. I think there's only 3 of those. And so I was like, oh shit, I'm in for some fun here. So he starts going through more and more. And I looked at him and I was like, you have a finest gold, don't you? And he like smiled awkwardly, and he got to this and I was like, dude, I have to have that card. And I made him an offer, and like he was like, no. So I finally got it from him. This is his copy. I got it from him. So this would have been about a year and a half after we first met. I probably messaged him like once a week about it. And finally I paid a lot more than I could have paid at that National, but finally got it. Worth it. That's my card.
Great choice. Bottom line, persistent was key. Would you say that?
Oh, I mean, he knew I wanted it, and he at a certain point he was like, "You don't have to ask me anymore. Like, I know.
Okay.
If I sell this to anyone else, you're gonna come hunt me down." But yeah, I mean, it's like at first you got to be really obvious that you want it, and then maybe like a couple of months of persistence, and then back off eventually.
Great.
I mean, that's by far not even close the biggest card we've ever had here on Card of the Day. So there we go. Chris?
Yeah, you guys should have let me go first as the opening act here, but I'll follow. There's been a lot of 90s Jordan Grails that have sold. in the last few years, whether and they don't sell often, whether it's essential credentials out of 72, whether it's platinum medallions out of 100, whether it's the molten metal fusion titanium out of 40, whether it's the 97, 98 rubies or its subset, whether it's the 97, 98 red PMG or the championship PMG or the 98, 99 PMG. All these cards have sold publicly in the last year or two. This one has not. And this is maybe an overlooked Jordan Grail right now. This is the 98-99 Skybox Star Rubies Michael Jordan.
Woo,
number 50.
You get one of those.
Bought that raw. Made a lot of enemies when I bought that card because I did something that you should never do. So do as I say, not as I do, which is the card showed up for auction on eBay raw. And this was 2 summers ago. So I was lonely and bored in an office at a law firm in downtown Los Angeles. And I got to messing around on eBay, and I messaged a seller and I said, what would it take for you to just pull this auction down? And I'll just buy this card raw right now. And to sweeten the pot, I see you're in Minnesota. So I will have the money hand delivered to you in an envelope. And the guy said, well, I need this much. And I said, all right, take it down and let's set up a date. And so the guy was nervous. So he said, well, he was in Minnesota. So he said, you're going to have somebody come to me and we're going to meet with the police officer at a room in a bank. I said, all right, I don't care. We can do that. So set the date. And, I was in LA, but my brother's in the Northern Illinois area. So he helped me out, drove to Minnesota, delivered the cash, got the card, shipped it to Beckett for me.
Wow.
And then it came home a BGS 8 a few days later. So, wow. But moral of the story is people get very upset at you if a card that they own, so they want to see a comp for it, or they're hunting. If you like you sneak in and end the get the auction to end before it ends, it might not be good form. So lesson there to all aspiring hobbyists. But sometimes we do things to get cards that we know come up once every 5 years.
Amazing story. Probably the coolest story we had. Your story had a gun involved.
It did.
Win the story of the hobby update Hall of Fame story. I will have to say, I have a guy here that had a gun involved in acquiring Grail. Done. Let me quick clickbait. Anyways, I'm sorry.
Nice.
Well, Shai, I don't know how we're gonna follow that up, but we'll do our best.
All right, go.
All right. Well, I'm gonna show. I mean, whatever. It's a 2012 Panini Kawhi Leonard Gold Knight rookie PSA 10 Gold Knight. It's kind of one of those, not obscure, but it's definitely more of a collector card. Originally, when Panini started making basketball cards, they just had a product called Panini. I don't think they have that around anymore. Maybe that's in Chronicles. I'm not sure, but the 2012 Gold Knights weren't as rare as the 2013 Gold Knights, which are super short printed, but nonetheless, a nice Kawhi rookie, kind of timely, given that he's expected to come back soon, I think.
I think Kawhi's in-game. I think they'll let you know in-game. What's that word? In-game decision. Whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good luck. All right. My one card of the day is a Trae Young Dizzle. Shout out to Lamim. I know he's gonna be happy. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to what's his name? Josh, right in front of me. The hater of Trae Young. If you go back a couple episodes ago, right? I literally there's sound bites. I said what's best for the hobby, 2 teams. It was the Hawks versus the Mavs, and I gave my reasons why. The fact that the Hawks are this deep, huge win. This Trae has been underpriced, and he's over delivering right now. Luka, I'm a Luka guy too. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to say overpriced and he's under delivering. I don't want to hurt anybody's cards or whatever. But you get what I'm trying to say. So, anyways, this is a National Treasures. Trae Young, clutch factor, rookie jersey auto out of 99 that the hobby loves. This is the cheap version. Remember, I'm the common guy. I'm not Josh. I'm not Chris getting these Grails with guns and all that good stuff. I'm a regular and I have the cheap version of the NT RPA. It's the clutch factor. I don't even know what the clutch is. Guess what? Trae Young is clutch. You know what? This is a PC card now because Trae Young is clutch. That's my card of the day. Thank you.
Nice cards, guys. Very nice stuff.
9.5.
9.5. All right. Moving on. So we did on the last episode of the Hobby Update podcast. I'm not sure if you guys saw, but we gave a list of what we thought were the 10 most important basketball cards of all time. On that list were 2 cards that you guys own. Chris with the PMG and Josh with the LeBron RPA, which we said was the most important basketball card of all time. So we kind of wanted to talk to you guys about.
He's smiling.
I mean, hey, we had to butter him up a little bit to get him on the pod. So we said, look, if we make that card number 1, he may be more inclined to come on the podcast. So that's how we got him on. So no, we genuinely thought that was the most important basketball card of all time. But we want to ask you guys, like, what was your mindset and like your process in terms of spending up to get those Grails at a time when paying those prices? I mean, those are large amounts of money to pay at the time. So we just kind of want to get in your heads a little bit and like what does it take in terms of like the like just the belief you have to have in those cards to make those moves.
Let's start out with Chris and his I believe your favorite card, I don't want to cut you out, it's either going to be the NT RPA of Luka or the red PMG. It's weird that I already know cards that you have to choose from. That means I'm geeking out. I'm a fan. But anyways, so you can choose, go however you want to go. Tell me a story. How the hell, what took you? What balls you have to go out and get this card?
Yeah, balls is the complimentary way to put it. Crazy or lunatic is the the other way. So yeah, I did ready this one for you gentlemen as well.
You brought it? Ladies and gentlemen, time out. If you're listening to our podcast, you may want to stop and then watch our YouTube version because the lawyer here literally just dropped a magnificent card in front of the screen. Continue.
Don't mind if I do, but I'm gonna drop a little Kramer like one of those like ugh.
Nice, good. Also, not a lawyer, just a law school graduate. I have to clarify that ethically in a public setting. Okay, so the story of that card was first told on Cardboard Chronicles. And Shai, appreciate you tipping the hat to House of Jordans. Cardboard Chronicles paved the way for House of Jordans in the hobby basketball card content space. And Josh having me on his show, you could almost blame that moment for a lot of content from me that followed. And I told the story on that show, and I'll tell it again much more briefly here. Again, the card showed up on eBay, and I messaged the guy directly and made a strong cash offer that he rejected. Ended up really negotiating against myself. And we went back and forth, him not budging and me coming closer and closer to his price and then eventually meeting his price. Could have saved a lot of time and just met him at his price at the beginning, but I didn't. Got the agreement. I told him I was in LA and he said, great. I'll come into your area. I'll fly in. He was from Vegas, flew into a car dealership that was about an hour south and brought the card raw as well, in raw condition. And I brought the cash and, I showed up, Christina and I showed up to the dealership and he was not there. I walked in, I went to the desk. I was like, hey, I'm meeting a guy here. And they were like, what's going on? I tried messaging him. I can't get a hold of him. Seems like nobody knows what's going on. I'm almost thinking we got flaked. The guy flaked, but nope. A few minutes later, in strolls a guy fresh off of a test drive of his car. And he says, oh, great, you're here. Let's go over here to this table, and takes out the card. We give him the cash. And then he takes the cash and he goes and buys a car and drives the car back to Las Vegas and Christina and I leave with a 2.5 by 3.5 inch piece of cardboard.
Raw card.
Raw. It was raw. It had previously been graded a BGS 8, and it had sold on PWCC. So we photo matched it, certain flaws lined up. It was good. Had it checked out by a couple of buddies who know these things. And then we went and we took it to PSA and took it to get graded by PSA. And this was before, this was a few years ago, right? And so I'm thinking PSA 7 or something is coming down the line. PSA 5.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, it wasn't, it wasn't the best news, but you really don't worry too much about it on a card like that. But it came back a fresh PSA 5, and it's been in that holder ever since. And now it's in a few holders, so it's in this leather bag, right? These are nice.
Right.
And then inside the leather bag is a slab guard that holds PSA.
This is not a promotional show. Slab guard this. Who are you going to promote now, Chris?
We're going to give a plug to Slab Guard, owned by the great Stephen Goat, MJ23 Collector PH on Instagram, one of my collecting idols. And so, yeah, that's just what happened, man. And I remember I paid the most anybody had ever paid for that card in any grade. And people thought I was nuts for a while.
Great story. Just to touch on, my partner here, my lifelong podcast partner, he actually did this similar thing you did, bought a crazy raw card for obscene amount and just went with it. And
yes,
best stories here.
That one graded well, though.
As long as not altered, you know what I mean? Like, we're good. Like, that's like two.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? Like, we want the original as much as possible. Doesn't matter. That's a card grade. Nobody cares. I know I don't. All right, great. Now, all right. This is I'll take over this. So, Chris, I keep missing you. You guys have such common names, Chris and Josh. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, they're so commercial, which is good. They are influencers. You can't forget. I've been watching you for a while. Right. So like I've actually got back into the hobby around 2018-ish or something. I was like on YouTube and then I saw Josh Carver Chronicles interviews with some of the old collectors. I remember Nick Giuliano. I remember he was on there. By the way, we're good friends. We're from New York. So like I met Nick through your show and then I saw him at a show and I'm like introducing myself. I saw you on, Carver Chronicles show. So anyways, that show, what it did to me, it brought me back into the hobby. So that's why I see like you're one of the first not original, but one of the first real influencers that are showcasing collectors and introducing people into the hobby and influencing in a real way where I can consider myself being influenced to go back into the hobby and, start going back to my old childhood roots. Anyways, enough of all that praising your old show. Now, you got LeBron RPA. You're a LeBron guy. I'm a LeBron guy. So I take this personally, and I really want to know what were you thinking when you got the LeBron RPA? And full disclosure, because we like to keep everything genuine. It's a public sale, so we're allowed to discuss like some sort of price. Yeah, I think it was like almost little under 200K, 198, whatever it was. You can get into that if you want. It's all public. And at that point, when you were buying that card, that right now, I know 200K. We see $1 million sales every other day. But at that point, it was a big deal. So you're one of the few first ones to go after that. You flipped your way to an RPA. I'm trying to flip myself into an RPA. What I got to do, tell me your thought process and just run with it.
Sure. Yeah, it was 193K, and that was in December of 2019. So the lead up to that was really like a multi-year deal because I've been collecting LeBron since about 2016, early 2016. And over those years, from 2016 to 2019, I had a ton of LeBron stuff. I've had his Ultimate. I've had his SP Authentic like 3 or 4 times, his Topps Chrome Refractor. I had his Gold by that point, the Gold Refractor. I've just owned a lot of his stuff, and I had amassed quite a bit of it. And I was talking to a close friend, getting help from Chris as well, just kind of like bouncing ideas around what I should do and if I should, take the plunge in the RPA. And I knew there was like 3 coming to auction at the end of 2019, kind of back to back. And so probably like summer of 2019, I had set up a plan to just kind of go for it. I knew how much it cost the money wasn't that big of a deal. Like it sounds like a lot, obviously, but I was able to sell cards to pay for, I think, like 75 to 80% of it. The rest was cash. So I had started in the summer of 2019 saving cash to pay for the rest, and then like plotting how much I was going to sell each card for. And so I sold a Jordan Rubies. Chris is still mad about that one. That's one of his top ones. I had sold a LeBron Ultimate, and those two were a big chunk of the money to get to where I needed to get. And then a bunch of odds and ends. I sold like a bunch of Galactic stuff, lower end stuff. It was just a lot, and it took a couple months to get through all that. Built up the cash, and then, you know, the boring part of the story is it was me by myself downstairs on Golden Auction at like 11 p.m. at night, just bidding and hoping I win. And I had the bid at like 140K, and I thought I was going to win there. So pre BP 140, and then someone outbid me at that with like very little time left. I was like, okay, shoot. So then I had to put in the next bid right away because I wanted to make sure that my next bid was gonna be my last one, because I had capped out at 200K. So I had put in the last bid to make sure, okay, either I win at this next price or I don't. You know, I don't want to wait and hopefully someone else. And then it was 30 minutes of waiting and pacing around the house, and I ended up winning. And then I was on the phone with some friends talking about it, and then my wife came downstairs and she was like, "Did I just hear that you spent 193K on a card?" And I was like, "Well, right? I mean, you
family."
Say it again.
You're married and you have a family, and you're spending
yes.
hard.
Yeah, and I didn't tell her about the plan. I just sort of went with it, and then I was like, "Well, you heard the price, so yep, that's what it was." And she's like, "Oh, okay." You know, it was just kind of whatever. She knew that I had was selling stuff, so it wasn't like a huge deal. But and then later, I found out that Nat was actually the number 2 bidder.
Wow.
Because I had the card, and he's like, "Oh, hey, I was number 2 on that." I was like, "Oh, thanks. You cost me 20 grand." You know, I have it with me, so.
Oh, guys,
RPA.
this is a blockbuster. This is a blockbuster episode, ladies and gentlemen. We have a red PMG in front of our. Yo, Chris, can you just take out your red PMG and let's just do card of the day, and let's just show how big these guys are. Everybody just post it, and we can take a little screenshot.
I can't even hold this card up with those other cards on the screen. It doesn't work.
I got a screenshot. Putnam is just your pretty face. That's it. That's all we're gonna get. Your face.
Fine.
But the head nod. But wow, thank you for bringing it. Amazing. Holy schmoly. Wow, I don't even know where to get. Okay, a few things. Just to play, have a little fun. The cards you gave up, minus the new capital you put in, just to play a little fun. The cards you gave up with the grades you gave up, do you think, just like a rough estimate, the value of that card is equal to that? That's part one. Part two is that forget about the value, for example. Are you more happy, content that you have that, even though whatever you gave up may have exploded higher? Like, tell me your thought process on that as in terms of a collector's point of view of achieving a grail.
Sure.
It's a collector's show. Go for it.
I was just doing some like rough math in my head right now. I would pretty confidently say that the RPAs outpaced the other cards, you know, where they would be today, because the ultimate was a BGS 9, and you know that lower grade wouldn't have performed quite as well as maybe like a 9.5. The Jordan Rubies is obviously worth a lot now. I did not get full value with that at all. And I'd say in general I won the deal because it was a lot of cash, and like the cash portion of it, the 25% has outperformed, some of the losses I may have taken on some of the smaller cards and stuff. But in general, I'd say like financially I'm up. I haven't really thought about that until right now, to be honest. It was just like, I don't really think of it in terms of that. It's usually, I just like having fewer cards. It's really that simple. I like having a few really big cards, for several reasons. Like one, it gets reactions a lot more than having a pile of stuff. And I enjoy like showing it off and having it, and, being a part of this kind of exclusive club that has the RPA. So I enjoy that part of it. And I just don't like clutter. I just like having fewer things in my life. And so that just kind of plays into that as well. So I love trading up. It's one of my favorite things to do. And so this one made a lot of sense. Took a lot of time, but definitely worth it.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, you guys that was incredible to get in your heads a little bit with those two acquisitions. But we got to move on to the next segment. New segment, we're calling 5 and 5. We're going to be asking 5 questions to Chris, 5 questions to Josh. We're going to try to keep the answers to a minute or less. And I guess Shai is going to start asking the questions to Chris. 5 questions. And yeah.
But I literally went like this, like 10 seconds. I was like, yo, you start, but fuck it. I'll go.
All
So,
right.
I mean, I'll go first. It's fine. Whatever you want. Do you want to go first?
You know what? You've been doing a lot of talking, a little too much talking. It's a little unfair. But so I guess I'll start here. So Josh, get ready. So all right, first question. What are some of your favorite card designs post 2003?
Post 2003. I really like Exquisite, so I'm just trying to think of like my favorite. I really like the 2009 Noble Nameplates design. It's horizontal. It's got like a nice framed window for the autograph. Nice patch. I like 2008 limited logos. Those will probably be my two favorite Exquisite designs. I'm trying to think of anything else. 2006 Topps Chrome. I really like the clean borders. Very simple design. 2015 Galactic. I think those are really cool. I've owned the LeBron at one point. I don't anymore, but those are really nice. 2013 Prism. I think that's a really nice design. Those are the ones that jump out just real quick.
Who's winning the NBA title and why?
The Phoenix Suns, man. Of course. I'm going to the game tonight. I'm excited to cheer on the Suns, and hopefully Chris Paul can get that first ring. I'm hoping Chris Paul will be back for Game 3. It kind of seems like him and Kawhi are both going to come back Game 3 in LA. That would be great for the NBA, and just for, as a fan, it'll be fun to watch. I am also silently rooting for the Bucks. So Suns, Bucks, either of those teams win, I'll be happy, but I'll pick the Suns.
Gotcha. Next question. How do you kind of manage or deal with like selling a card to someone else at the peak?
You mean like because I know I'm winning the deal or something?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Sure. I mean, I don't know, man. Someone's got to sell the card, right? Like I've got to sell it at some point. And if you're going to sell at the peak, that's the best time. I don't really I'm not trying to like screw anybody over, obviously, but
right.
Nobody can actually predict the peak. So it's happened a few times where I'll sell it, and then like a couple months later, they're like, "Oh, you really won that one." And it's like, hopefully you won a few along the way. It's kind of like in the long run, we all kind of even it out, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, we've only done one deal together. You sold me a 2013 LeBron Kaboom 9.5. I think it was around like 7,000 or something like that. And, like I made a little bit of money on it. I sold it, but it was a clean deal. Very appreciative for you. Can't talk. Thanks for selling me that card, because it is a beautiful card. But that's the one deal we've done, and it was a win-win, I guess, because you were consolidating for something bigger and better. Next question. Any advice for the National? First, I mean, I assume there's going to be a lot of first timers. So what are some general pieces of advice you think that people can benefit from?
Well, I really hope you asked that question to Chris, because he is a longtime National fiend. He goes to every National every year. He's just a big fan, man. Just make sure you ask him that. Let's see. First time advice is not to get caught up in like the buying and selling part, and focus on the community and having fun. I think, a lot of people go just thinking like, oh, I'm going to find the super rare card, or I'm going to, hit this big deal and kind of make money on the trip. I would say if you go into it with that, you might be disappointed. So go into it with like, I want to, meet my friends, hang out, have fun. You will not be disappointed on that front.
Gotcha. And this one, I don't know if this is going to be a tough question for you, but obviously I think if I have a good read on your PC, you've got 4 main LeBron cards, and the Exquisite, the limited logos, the Topps Chrome Gold, and the Finest Gold. So aside from those 4, what's the one card in your collection that you'd pick?
Definitely the green. Yeah, it's got to be the green PMG Anthony Hardaway. That's definitely that one, plus the RPA. I got those both within 2 days of each other. After I won the RPA, I've been looking for a green PMG, longer than the RPA. And so when that one came up, I was like, oh, I had to actually take money out of my 401k to get that one. So that hurt. But, those never come up. So I would say that one for sure.
Gotcha. All right. Well, those were the 5 questions there. I was really curious about the last one, because I had some ideas of what you were going to say. I thought you would have said the penny. Another one, I thought you you could have said was the 2008 LeBron Chalk Gold PSA 10, because
yeah.
I know you really like that one. So yeah, that was an interesting answer.
All right. You buy the low key publicly. I want the Choctaws. I want the gold. You have it. Public PSA announcement. I don't know. If I'm ever gonna buy a card, I'd rather buy it from him. Just the fact that he's on my podcast. So
There we go.
God.
For those audio only people out there, Josh is pointing to a little Choctaws art in the background there, little black and white, beautiful piece there. So yeah, and just fun fact, there was a Choctaws Gold PSA 10 that was up on eBay through PWCC not too long ago. I was the second highest bidder on that card. It was a bummer to lose it, but you know what? You win some and you lose some.
Wait, what did it do? The gold refractor Choctaws.
I mean, I thought it. I don't want to say what. I mean, I'll say I thought it went like kind of low.
No,
it sold for 94,000.
90.
And
How long?
if I had more cash on me at the time, I would have bid more than I did. But
well, Josh is happy. I mean, I don't know if he's happy or sad. That could be. I don't follow that card or market. I just know that I want it, and you have it. So that's the end of the story of that. Anyway, so now 5 and 5. I don't even know if that was a 5 and 5. We're trying to do like fun little segments, 5 questions, 5 minute. We had no counter, but hopefully we'll figure it out. It's all trial and error. But anyways, now on to you, Mr. Former Amazon ex guy.
You're asking Chris the questions now. You're forgetting who you're talking to. You're muted, Shai. This is a disaster. Shai, you're muted. Shai, can you hear me? Wave if you can hear what I'm saying. You're muted.
Okay, are we good now? This may be the first pod we have to edit, but we won't because we just like to keep it rolling.
Leave it in. Leave it all in.
Yeah, no, we're gonna leave it. All right, a few things. So I know that you're more of a market guy because you see CardLadder data every single day. You see the sales. You literally have like foot on the ground market tempo, right? So obviously we all know that the market is definitely down, overall generally, So like, for example, just from your data point of view and your background in law and your analytical thinking, do you see this as just like a cyclical cycle in a secular market in terms of like, this is like a bull market. We get it. These are the ups and downs in a downturn. Or like, do you have a bigger picture where, you know what I mean? We all should be worried. I don't want to say it that way, but intense. But if you want to comment on that, like, where are we right now? Like, we all know the card prices are down. What are your thoughts on that and where you see it going?
Okay, so I'm going to keep my answer very limited because I know we're doing 5 and 5. I could talk about this question for a long time. I think we're constantly in uncharted territory, constantly. It's going to be very difficult to use past performance as an indicator of future performance when the dynamics of who's involved in the hobby and why they're coming in and what their purposes are and how well capitalized they are, that dynamic is constantly changing in unpredictable ways. So, for example, nobody would have been able to predict the pandemic boom of 2020 by looking at the last 10 years because so many new variables impacted the market. So I think that's going on big time. And it's you can sort of, if you can anticipate what the macro factors are that are going to influence the market, then maybe you can start to get an idea of where it's going. But it's going to be difficult to look at past trends. What I will say, though, is that there also still are cyclical things going on. And one of the cycles that we see happen of late is that there are periods of great speculation during off seasons, whether it's football or basketball over the last few years, and baseball to some extent. And then when the season starts, everybody just holds their breath for the 82-game duration or however long the season is. And then, we see who wins, the dust settles, and then a whole new period of speculation starts again the next offseason. So you see really big price movements last few years in the off season leading up to seasons of play. That's for active players. So here's my last thing I'll say is that GOATs and retired players and vintage cards, I would characterize the current market we're in as a mixed market, because while plenty of stuff is down, plenty of other stuff is up quite a bit. So Jackie Robinson, Babe Ruth, the cards of those two guys are doing extremely well right now. Also, Tom Brady, the 2012 Prism Silver Tom Brady PSA 10, which is a Pop 16, sold for $25,000 at auction yesterday. Monstrous record high. And I shared that screenshot with a friend, and they wrote back, man, it is nice to see prices that don't make sense again. So there's definitely always these pockets of the hobby that are doing well. To your question, should we be fearful? How should we approach things? To quote the great sports card philosopher Warren Buffett, be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. How about that?
Great take.
There you go. So I'm just going to interject a little bit. So this segment's called 5 and 5. That was 1 and 4. So we're gonna.
Okay. We got 4 and 15 seconds coming up.
Oh man, gotta fix. We're trying. All right.
Ask him about National. That'll be quick.
Can I get a question about the National?
Yeah, like that's interesting that you know. All right, so next thing, so the 86 Fleer, right? So we had that Max. What we had that number what on our top 10 list?
Number 2.
Number 2. So now our big issue why it's not number 1. Like we had so many big time guys, you know, saying like why the hell it's not number 1. My only count is in a full disclosure, Max does own a Jordan PSA 9 Fleer 86 rookie. My only thing is that it's not. I don't want to talk down on cards, for example, right? Because I'm a true.
Hey Shay, we're not trying to bias the answer here. We're just trying to ask the question.
Oh my god, damn it! All right, quick questions. Jordan Fleer or Star? Can the narrative change?
Great question. Of course, the narrative can change. Narratives change all the time. There's cards that didn't matter 5 years ago that are at the top of the hobby pyramid right now. Narratives can and do change all the time, but the Star has some pretty big hills to climb. Maybe the biggest one being that PSA doesn't grade it. So if you want to get the investor boys on board, you're going to need that PSA stamp, as Kendrick Perkins once affectionately called it. So maybe if PSA started grading it and the right people got behind it, you know, but here's the thing, right? What is the difference? The 86 Fleer is NBA licensed, so is the 84 Star. The difference is the 86 Fleer was pack issued, whereas the 84 Star was issued in team bags. That's the difference, all right? But what is the 84 Star going for? It's his actual rookie year. Try explaining the 86 Fleer to somebody who doesn't know the hobby. I once had a PSA 7 of that card, showed it to my uncle, and I said, look, this is Michael Jordan's rookie card. How cool is this? He flips it over, and he's like, well, then why does he have 2 years of statistics on the back? How is this his rookie card, right? So there's a case to be made for both cards. If the hobby purists like the 86 Fleer for the pack issued, but the 84 Star, it's his rookie year. You can't really go wrong with either. Michael Jordan has so few rookie cards anyway. There's room for both. This city is big enough for the two of them.
Great. Thank you for that. So bottom line, just summarize it. It's all down to PSA and Nat Turner. What is it? If he's going to decide, if Gem Mintai, whatever that new company that he bought, if he could read and detect counterfeit 84 Fleer team bag cards, and he can know for sure this is fake, this is real, and he starts grading it because they have that buyback guarantee. I'm sure Nat Turner doesn't want to grade 1,000,000 84 Fleers and then turn out fake and they're $1 million each. They're gonna go bankrupt. So when PSA gets that stamp of approval, like you said, like Kendrick Lamar, then I think it's gonna be a lot more serious competition to the 86 Fleer. Is that a fair point?
Yes, it is.
All right, perfect. Now onto fun things. I know you love ripping wax. What's your favorite product to rip?
Oh, easy. Prism anything. Prism basketball, Prism football, doesn't matter. ripped several hobbies of Prism football this year and several hobbies of Prism basketball. Prism. I love ripping Prism. Christina would probably say right now Court Kings. She just loves the canvas finish that those cards have. You can't go wrong. There's a lot of great wax out there.
Great choice. Just because of Prism, is it because like, okay, just to touch on
Shai, you got to keep the questions running, man.
Okay.
We don't have all day here.
Like this, it's like a dial. There's so much like these guys. They have so much more knowledge in this. This is probably a bad idea 5-5 with these guys because they have so much depth and knowledge and like hobby. Like I'm being a junkie right now, like a hobby purist. But I just have to touch on it. You know what? We'll just skip it. Fictional hobby content. We've seen a lot of content creators showing, I don't know if you want to say negative side, a wild side, like a little iffy side. What do you feel about that? And what do you, is it good for the hobby? How do you think is approaching it? Because a lot of the content that's coming out, yes, we should know the truth and what's going on. Like we respect that in terms of like, the real deal, what's going on in the market. Like we want to know if there's shady, bad stuff, but like just in general, like what are your thoughts on it? And if you want to run with that.
Can you just give a hypothetical? Don't give a real example, but like a hypothetical example of the type of content you're talking about.
For example, contents that's putting a bigger player without maybe it's not like a black and white type situation. It's more gray.
I'll just give one word: sensationalist kind of content.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Good. It's a fine line because on the one hand, this hobby needs its watchdogs. If I have one critique of this hobby, it's that it's full of people who are very successful in their personal lives, doctors, lawyers, dentists, VC bros, investors, finance guys, Wall Street guys, as well as people from all walks of life. But there's very serious, successful, professional people who are in this hobby and they love it, but they just come to this hobby for a release. They spend an hour or two on it a day. So they're not invested. They don't care so much about it that they're going to go to great lengths to, ensure it's protected because they don't have the time. They don't have the mental bandwidth. This is their escape. This is supposed to be fun for them. Somebody else needs to do that job. So it is important that we have hobby watchdogs, like certain new social media pages that have emerged. And that's good. It's good that we have that. It's good that people are keeping a close eye and performing a checks and balances. But it can get really easy, really quick to go over the deep end and start hurling accusations, dipping into sensationalism, forwarding narratives, and making content without having all the facts in hand. It can be very easy to fall into that trap. And before you know it, this is just TMZ. And now we just have a drama fest. It's Jerry Springer. It's all of those things where it's just he said, she said, sling mud this way, sling mud that way. It's very easy to cross the threshold into that space if you're not being responsible in performing that duty. So this is a really delicate topic, and we have seen, throughout all my 5 years coming back to the hobby, whether it was from Blowout and now on Instagram, people can very easily slip into taking things too far, acting too quickly, having an itchy trigger finger, and causing a lot more damage than would have been the case if they just not said anything at all.
Excellent. Excellent response from future lawyer. That was great. So all right, now last question. We all know you love to rip wax with Kristina, and we all know Prism is your favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Now we all know we've seen you in your After Hours live show crossovers, After Hours Dark, big fan. Now what are you gonna do? I know you rip all the stuff and you send it to PSA. You want to grade? I'm the low margin guy. You know what I mean? I'll send it to bulk, $10, $11. Let it come back. I'll sell it for $30. Big deal. I double my money. I know it's a lower amount, but we get the point. Double is a double. Now with PSA grading such, tougher and just nobody interested in those lower end base type cards, maybe I'm assuming that's like a majority of your submissions. What are you gonna do with all your junk slabs that's coming back?
Oh, it's a great question. Probably, well, I don't know. It's yet to be determined, but maybe my dumbest hobby decision of all time was spending 20 grand last fall to grade around like 12 or 1300 cards at the economy service level through a bulk submission. That may be my dumbest hobby decision of all time, but time will tell, right? You know what will make it, you know what will seal the deal is a very dumb idea, is if they're all like 7s, 8s, and 9s, because then I will literally probably, those cards will be worth less in those slabs than they were just raw. So we'll need to see how the grades come back. But given the way PSA is handing out grades lately, it's probably going to be a bloodbath. So what will I do with all those junk slabs? Recycle them and do something good for the environment, and turn those slabs into a reclamation project for something good for the environment and for the economy.
All right. I mean, my suggestion is if anybody's in a card show, you know how we have dollar boxes? We have junk wax. I mean, junk slab dollar box. All right.
All right, so I just want to say here, Josh, I apologize. Didn't want to make you sit there, not talk for a while. Shay and I had talked about this very thoroughly. We're going to keep it at 5 minutes. I just stopped the timer. It was at 13:51, so didn't want to make you sit there for 13 minutes without talking. But I mean, I think those questions and those answers did add a lot of value to some people, and they were kind of quick, supposed to be quick hitters. But moving on, I look at my 50 closest friends right now. They all love sports fanatics. Maybe 5 of those 50 people are into sports cards right now. Like maybe 5 of my 50 closest friends. And I've been trying to get them into the hobby like over the last 2 years. And I just want to ask you guys, like, how do you market the hobby and bring more people into this thing?
Well, this has been my main project since I started Cardboard Chronicles. That's been my goal. Like, how do we get people in the hobby and how do we get them to stay, more importantly than getting them in? I think we've seen a lot of people come in the last couple of years through the financial side, like flipping, making money. A few of those people have stayed. A lot of them have left, probably, depending on how they did. But the answer for me is just continuing to display the cards that we have and why we like them. And that's just always been my motto from the start with Cardboard Chronicles. And that's why I interview the people that I do, because those people that I interview are obsessed with the hobby in one way or another. They all have different reasons why they collect, and they have different reasons for why they collect the cards that they do collect. And so like continuing to tell those stories and telling people about those, I think is what draws people in. It's sort of like the mystique of the hobby to me. Like where did this guy get this incredible collection? How does he have, how does Bob Amtrak have all these huge LeBrons? Well, because he started in 2003 and he's been obsessed with it since. There's a passion that comes through. There's a reason that he got to that point. It wasn't that he, came in through fantasy football last year and flipped. It's because he's been in it for a really long time. And so I think continuing to tell those stories and trying to connect to people with different reasons for why you might come into the hobby, I think is important. If you just keep pushing this one narrative over and over that you'll make money, yeah, you'll probably grab some people. I think you're going to lose a lot that way. I think you're going to get people that aren't of high value coming into the hobby necessarily, relative to a true hobbyist and collector. So that's just my angle. That's my side. Other people can do the financial thing, and that's a part of this, and that all goes together. And there's other people that will do that. But from my perspective, it's telling the stories.
Gotcha. I mean, I definitely get that. Like, because when I try to pitch to my friends, for instance, like obviously I'm not going. You come in the cards, you can make a lot of money. Like I don't start there. Like that's just not how I do it. And it's also like, it's tough because if they don't have the connection to the hobby and they didn't do it as kids, like they don't have that connection. So like, it's so tough to like find that middle ground, like, how to pitch it. So Chris, you got anything on this topic?
Yeah, well, I definitely follow up with what Josh said. Cardboard Chronicles was a huge thing that pulled me deeper into the hobby. was waiting for that next interview, that next collector to come out. I remember the very early episodes with Neaton and Grant Slayton and Nat Turner. And I just lived for those episodes, you know, and I would message Josh after everyone came out, and I'd be like, this is what I loved about this, and this is great. And those, you know, that stuff, the collectors telling their stories was always very appealing to me. The other thing I'll say is, in using a word that Josh used, fun. If the hobby is fun, dude, look, as adults living complex, sophisticated lives, having fun is in high demand, and it's difficult to do. And so the hobby is escapism, and it's a way to do something relaxing, simple. There's community around it. And for a great many of us, we have a collector gene where just something about collecting things is psychologically appealing to us on a physiological, fundamental level. And so finding a way to access that, and especially for people who are into kind of like finance and sports, which like many adults are, finance is the tools and the key to enable us to do things that we want to do in our life. And sports is a language and a passion that we all have in common. And sports cards is the best avenue to bring those two things together. So, you know, when people do stumble upon this world, there's a lot to like about it, and it can be incredibly fun. So to me, putting the spotlight on the things that makes the hobby fun and enjoyable is not only the recipe to make it appealing to people, but it's also the recipe to keep people in it for the long term.
I love that. I mean, I love that kind of, it's the combination of kind of sports and finance, because I think a lot that speaks to a lot of people, you know, who maybe don't have the connection to the hobby, but they'll understand that. So I think that was a pretty awesome answer there. But we got to move on, because this is why you guys are on here today. The 1 year anniversary of CardLadder is tomorrow, 6/23. Well, by now when this episode comes out, it'll be past then, but 6/23 obviously representing two kind of big numbers for you guys. But I really want to know, like, what's the last year been like? You know, what has it met your expectations, or if you know, what were your expectations? You know, what are some challenges that you guys have faced that you didn't really see coming? So yeah.
Yeah, sure. I'll start. I can speak for Chris, because we both like realized that the anniversary was coming up, and we basically forgot about it because we've been so busy with it. And it's like, we should probably do something. It's like, well, it's 3 days away. I think we're running out of time to come up with something big. So this show is a really good reminder and celebration of it, I think, for us. So, you know, thanks to you guys for that. So it's been a crazy year. It's been an awesome year. It's been a lot of fun. I was able to quit my job, you know, just personally, and been able to get into cards full time. I've been wanting to do cards full time for a while. I just, you know, I really don't like risk, and I have to like replace my income, and there's all these different, you know, things that have been holding me back over the years. But this has finally been able to, you know, allow me to take the plunge and doing something that I love, coding plus cards. It's pretty much the perfect combination. And, you know, also being able to do it with Chris, you know, we've been friends for a long time. And so to have like a business partner plus, you know, doing what I want, I really can't ask for much more. Now I work from home all the time. So like, it's been the best year from that perspective, from the personal side. And on the CardLadder side, it's been fun because, you know, people really enjoy it. And Chris and I really enjoy hearing from people that, you know, that they like it, or that they get some benefit out of it, or, you know, they feel that it's bringing value to the hobby in terms of how we protect the, you know, the sales and betting, and, you know, the accuracy of our data. So to hear, you know, people appreciate that kind of stuff is really great. And, you know, we love that.
I've been a CardLadder guy from day one, and to see kind of what it started as and to what it is now, it's a pretty incredible thing. Not that it, you know, not that it was bad when it started out. It was great, but just like the amount of additions and improvements you've made to it, it's a pretty remarkable thing.
Just to touch on, all right, guys. So like, this is the CardLadder segment. Obviously, this is your life. You know what I mean? You basically quit working for Jeff Bezos to take a chance in this hobby and run your own company with the skills that you are good at, which is coding. By the way, I took a C++ course in college. I hated it. I did the calculator. Very, very difficult. So like, that's why automatic respect to anybody that's in coding. I'd be like, oh my God, like hallelujah. I personally had a very good, like I know personally. So that's why like I know you're like very, very smart, right? So like, okay, let's promote CardLadder. Imagine you're in TechCrunch 2.0 right now, right? You're giving the keynote speech. We have Chris Hodge and we have Josh Carver Chronicles. You're giving a keynote speech, and this is not investors. You're talking to people, future customers. Imagine it's a room full of customers. You have a 30-second pitch at TechCrunch, Hobby Update, TechCrunch. So why should we join CardLadder? Tell us.
30 seconds. All right. Because we are going to accurately track all the sales in the hobby, protect the hobby, and we're going to update your own personal collection, the value of it daily.
You want to add? You have 15 seconds, guys. TechCrunch.
Yeah, 15 seconds. All right. Yes, CardLadder data accuracy is one and the most important prong. The other prong is fun. We make the hobby fun. It's a live virtual sports card show every day.
All right.
30 on the dot.
I'll just add that. All right. Full disclosure. I've been obviously a subscriber to CardLadder since literally day one. I was like the waiting list and all that stuff. And then I got the thing. And I believe you guys charge 1 year membership at a discount, right? Or something along those lines. And then I think it's $15 a month, I believe. And I'm probably going to be using CardLadder for a longer time. Do I want to sign up for the 1 year discount? No, I'm going to support my boys. I'm going to continue to overpay for it because this is some good shit. And quite frank, I'll be straight up. I'm going off the record here because it's 5 p.m. somewhere, right? It's happy hour somewhere. I wear my shirt. Few things. I was going to cancel CardLadder. I know you guys are like, ooh, so seats warming up. But I go on CardLadder. I was about to cancel, right? I'll be very, very frank and straightforward, right? I was like, because look, I joined CardLadder when the base market was going crazy. Everybody was grading Prism. Oh my God, Ty Jerome, PSA 10 is worth that much. I was shook. I had to know what Jamil Okafor was worth for whatever reason. But now it's like, obviously the market's evolving. And what are you guys doing? You guys are evolving. How? I went online. I was about to cancel CardLadder. I type in Kaboom Gold, Kobe Bryant, and boom, I see it. I'm like, fuck, I cannot cancel it now. You guys have my card. And then today, my card of the day, I type in, I was like, you know what? I hit a nice grade on this Trae Young card, 9.5. I type it in. Unfortunately, I see it also in the 9.5. There's only one clutch factor Trae Young. I'm like, you guys are too much right now. You know what? Just take my money. Just take everything. I'm done. That's
nice. Thank you, Shai. I don't know if we can get a better endorsement than that one, man.
It's free. By the way, we're not getting paid. This is not sponsored by CardLadder. This is not sponsored by White Claw. This is
sponsored by White Claw. It's sponsored by Truly. I heard Shai said we're sponsored by Sony or something like that now. Best Buy. We're sponsored by Best Buy. We have a lot of sponsorships. We don't make any money from them. We're sponsored by Jeff Bezos. Yeah, there we go. That's a very lucrative sponsorship. But all right, last segment, real quick. Shout out of the week. One Instagram account that we want to give love to. I'll start off. Everyone, you need to go follow at Hoodies Cards on Instagram. My man Hoodie Allen. Been talking with him about some cards. He's a great guy. He's a great musician. So make sure to go check him out. He's been picking up some really nice stuff. So that's my shout out of the week.
Chris, you can go next.
Thank you. Good. Okay. Lots of accounts that I'd love to give a shout out to, but going to play it really safe here. The account that you all need to follow is Christina's PC on Instagram at Christina's PC. Great hobby account.
Well done, Chris. You can sleep well tonight. All right. Mine is, this one's tough. There's a lot of guys out there that deserve this, and I wish I could spout 20 names, but I'm going to go with at 8209 Patrick. Patrick is one of the nicest guys in the hobby. He's the most genuine person I've met in the hobby, where, a lot of guys message me and they want to know what something's worth, or they want to sell something to me. Patrick just wanted to be my friend. And I thought that was so awesome. He's just a really nice person. He wanted to talk about LeBron cards. We met in Chicago. We chatted for a long time. His content is good. His cards are awesome. He's always thinking about different rare sets of LeBron that he can find, and I just love his Instagram.
Excellent. I know Patrick. I'll just finish it off. My shout out of the day is Instagram account handle Kobe08247. I actually met him real quick about a year ago. I know Putnam was shaking his head. He was on my live when PSA gave me the wrong orders, and he literally commented saying that, hey, I know somebody at PSA, David Steinberger, shout out to him too, double shout out, and he can help me out. The dude was legit. He got me the contact. I met him in Dallas, hung out with him the whole time. He helped me grade this, by the way, too, put me in the right context. So, and bottom line, the most important thing is that he is a new person that came into the hobby recently, and his mental thinking of how to approach it. Remember, these new kids are the future of the hobby. So we should be paying attention to the new people coming in, how they think, what they're thinking, how they maneuver, what they like. It's going to help old OGs, collectors, to blossom in the hobby. So that's my shout out of the day.
All right. There were 4 shout outs there, and that is going to conclude episode number 10 of Hobby Update. Thanks again to Josh and Chris from CardLadder from coming on here. Shout out to Christina as well. You cannot forget Christina. If for some reason you don't listen to the crossover, you're missing out. So make sure to check out the crossover if you've not already. Shai, you got any last words for us here?
Bottom line, these are my hobby goats, hobby idols. I'm big time. I'm big in the hobby because they got me in. You know what I mean? So I give him that credit, and love him or hate him. Bottom line, I respect them no matter what, because I'm in the position I'm in right now because they paved the way. That's it.
All right. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe. If you're not subscribed already, make sure you leave a rating on Apple Podcasts. We always appreciate it. Let us know if you loved the episode, and we'll see you next week. Thank you, everybody.